This is the secret that no therapist will ever admit to your face. Most of them were never trained to teach you how to make a relationship work in real life. Not in the car rides home, the silent nights after a fight, or the text message arguments that leave you both wrecked. They'll ask about feelings. They'll explore your childhood for years on end, but they won't show you how to calm your body before you explode, how to repair when you've said the wrong thing, or how to rebuild trust after it's been broken. That's why so many couples walk out of therapy more confused than when they walked in. Not because therapy is just bad, but because it often stops at awareness, which really gets you stuck and honestly makes things worse. It doesn't give you the skills to act differently tonight. So if you've tried therapy and you've gone about it over and over and over, maybe for years, and you still feel stuck, listen up. Because in this video, I'm going to teach you the 7 relationship skills your therapist will never show you, but that can actually save your relationship. Now, you know what's really exhausting? Sitting in a therapy session with your partner, talking about the same fight you had 3 weeks ago, while knowing full well you're going to have it again. Or being told to communicate better when your nervous system is screaming, when your heart rate is through the roof, and when your hands are shaking. Here's what therapy often forgets. Love is not a diagnosis, and your relationship isn't struggling because of communication styles. It's struggling because no one taught you the real-life skills to calm, connect, rebuild trust, and reconnect after rupture. Couples aren't failing because they don't care. They're failing because they're unskilled, and they don't know where to begin. And here's the most dangerous part. Over 60% of couples drop out of therapy without any lasting results. Many leave more resentful, more distant, and more hopeless than before. Not because they didn't want to grow, but because they didn't get the tools to grow. But if you're watching this, that ends today. Now, there are a tremendous number of new followers here on this channel, and thank you. If we haven't met before, I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. I spent years as a licensed psychotherapist, specifically marriage and family therapist, and now I coach individuals and couples around the world full-time on how to build secure, lasting relationships that don't collapse under pressure. I've worked with CEOs, military families, political families, celebrity families, trauma survivors, and everyday couples who are just one argument away from walking out the door. And over, I saw the same problem. They didn't need more talking. They needed more real skills. Skills for staying connected under stress. Skills for rebuilding after rupture. Skills for speaking the truth without burning the relationship down. This video today is built from the tools I have taught in my private practice, the ones I use myself, and the ones that have helped thousands of people across the world finally feel safe and secure in love. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 7 essential skills that most therapists never teach, but that I teach my clients every single day. You're going to learn a few very key things. First, how to regulate your nervous system so fights don't hijack you. How to speak your needs so your partner finally understands them. How to repair after conflict instead of just moving on. How to rebuild trust through consistent daily actions. How to set boundaries without shame or guilt. How to turn life stress into deeper bonding. And how to create a shared vision so you stop drifting and you start thriving. By the end of this video, you won't just understand why your relationship has been struggling, you'll have a roadmap to make it better starting tonight. The first skill you have to learn, that you probably won't learn from a therapist, is nervous system regulation. If your heart rate's up, your hands are clenched, and you're holding your breath, it doesn't matter how many I statements you use or I feel, your relationship is already hijacked. The research is clear. If you begin a conversation with a heart rate over 100 beats per minute, you have a 96% chance of that conversation going very badly, with a 4% chance of mediocre or better. Those odds are horrifying, and nobody should gamble like that. Communications tools, they collapse when your heart rate and cortisol spike, largely because your language center of the brain, Broca's area, diminishes, so your linguistic ability goes down. You don't speak like a full, mature adult. You begin speaking like a high schooler, then a middle schooler, then an elementary schooler. Most therapy skips regulation and says, talk it out. Talk. Just start talking. Say words and it'll get through. This is not true. That's not how the brain works. Safety has to be restored in the body before logic, communication, and empathy can return. Some science behind this. Your amygdala, the fear center of the brain, hijacks your prefrontal cortex, your judgment center. This is where you make rational decisions. It also begins attacking and turning down Broca's area. It also hijacks and goes to the limbic system, fight, flight, fawn, freeze, instead of logic, talk, negotiate, empathize. So you are activated and stressed out, and probably so is your partner. Now it's not possible to have rational conversation at this point. Your vagus nerve in your chest tightens, gets really shut, okay? This is one thing you're going to have to work on, is stimulating the vagus nerve. Deep in, long exhale. A sigh or a yawn is actually your body regulating with your vagus nerve and shifting to a new state. That yawn regulates your vagus nerve and puts you into a sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system state to rest and come down and get ready to sleep. And it's contagious because when one person does that, every person should. So the whole pack of humans all begins to snuggle and sleep together. It signals bonding time, resting time, refreshing time. This is one reason we have this, okay? But sighing and deep breathing also allows your body to reset. Now, remember that heart rate of 100 beats per minute and above, your body begins to interpret your partner as a threat over and over and over. This builds what's called a cortisol association, which starts closing your oxytocin receptors in their presence, so you can't oxytocin bond. The love, snuggle, hormone, affection bonding diminishes in their presence and spikes as a threat. Now, after a year or 2 or 3 of that, you hate them, or at least your brain does. It tags them as an enemy, even as your heart still loves them. Try communicating your way out of that one. I get asked all the time, what is my attachment style? What is my attachment style? What is my attachment style? So I have finally launched the attachment assessment. This is not a short quiz that just spits out an answer after 3 seconds. This is a thorough, in-depth, science-backed assessment. Check it out on my website, adamlanesmith.com, and learn your attachment style, the severity of what you're dealing with, and some next steps you can take right now to build very secure attachment. So how do you take back control? Well, you have to learn to regulate on command. So here are 3 practical tools you can try. First is the 4-8 breathing. You inhale through your nose for 4 counts, and you exhale through your mouth for 8 counts. That long exhale stimulates the vagus nerve, lowers your heart rate. Hear how my voice is going down? It tells your brain, I'm safe. That deep in breathing and deep out breathing, repeated, can lower that nervous system, okay? Second piece is dropping your body armor. Feel in your body where you're sore and stiff. Might be your jaw or your eyes. Unclench your jaw, roll your shoulders, loosen your jaw, open your palms, shake them out a little bit, open your eyes like this, kind of get that going. Feel the stiffness in your body and just kind of move that spot. Your nervous system takes cues from your posture. If you're like this, not great. If you're like this, not great. Tight, no. But relax. Shoulders back, palms open, right? Your body actually feels this. So your body will do this when you're stressed, but you can also make your body do things to reverse the effect on your nervous system, okay? When you soften your body on purpose, your nervous system says, I must be okay. And your partner sees this, and the mirroring neurons inside their brain activate and say, you look safe and feel safe. I must be safe. Their nervous system can mirror it and also begin to let go. But the more tightened up you are, the more they see that, and their body says, something's unsafe. I have to feel unsafe too. Now, the next part, which is great, we call it name and pause. Out loud, you say, I'm feeling dysregulated right now. I'm feeling off. I need a pause. Okay. You step away for about 10 minutes. I'm going to step away for 10 minutes. Let's come back. You tell them that. You don't just duck out like, I need to pause, dive out the window. No. But hey, let's build an agreement into our relationship that when we need a pause, we don't go over 100 beats per minute. All right. Be scientific. We don't go over that. We can pause for 10 minutes and then come back. Okay. Hey, I'm feeling really off. Let's take 10 minutes. I'm going to go reset. Okay. When you name it, your partner and give a time limit, your partner doesn't feel abandoned. They understand you're regulating so you can come back and calm down. I recommend setting that rule when you're calm and then using that rule when you're stressed. Okay. As your stress hijacks your brain, that cortisol floods, your brain says protect from instead of connect with, not going to work. But instead, what you can do is like most of my coaching clients, when they go and they're arguing and they stop, they step away. Okay, I need 10 minutes. They step away, they reconnect, they come back and say, okay, what I was trying to say was this, and I would like for us to connect here. Can we do that? Oh, that's what you wanted? Sure, we can do that. Click, everything comes back. And then the second time you erode the cortisol and you actually build vasopressin, which is trust, the trust-based hormone for overcoming challenges, and oxytocin. Now you learn to biochemically trust your partner. So even fixing it the second time undoes the damage and begins bonding you. Now, once your body is calm, great. You finally have access to your brain and your desires, your needs, all of that will come back online. But most couples still fail here because they ask for love in ways their partner can't measure. And that's where skill number 2 comes in. Measurable expressed needs are very important. That's skill number 2. Most couples are not fighting over love and not being loved. They're fighting over invisible expectations. I just want to feel loved. Sounds really good to most people, but it's impossible to measure, especially for someone who has never really felt loved before. An avoidant partner has no idea, for example, what to do with, I just want to feel loved. A therapist will also typically tell your partner that you need to feel loved. Tell them you need to feel like a priority. You tell this to an avoidant person, what does that mean? They have no clue. This actually makes it worse, but most therapists don't understand attachment at all. They're not really trained in it. So one partner thinks they're showing love. The other one says, you're not loving me. They feel starved. The other one feels unappreciated. Therapy has just made you worse. That mismatch creates immense resentment on repeat, and therapy keeps hammering at it. Now, again, as I said, therapists are rarely trained in attachment styles, okay? Anxious attachment here is going to come in and say, I need to feel loved. I need to feel safe. I need to feel like a priority. I need to feel like you care. Do you even love me? Right? And they're trying to say what they finally have needed to say. It takes all this work to get an anxious person. It takes like 10 years of therapy to get an anxious person to get to a point where they can say, I need to feel loved, right? 10 years of therapy every week. That's 50 sessions. That is 500 sessions overall to get to say, I need to feel loved. And it makes the avoidant person confused and angry. I do love you. What do you mean? Well, I just need to feel loved. No, I don't know what that means. What do you need? Well, I need to feel loved. See the fight? The avoidant wiring shuts down when requests feel confusing and impossible. Therapy, though, will focus on emotions, not necessarily the measurable execution. This is why I teach the what, why, how often method. This framework works for every couple. What do you need? Well, I need to feel loved. Good. What are 2 things specifically that help you feel loved? Because I've never felt it before. Okay, well, one thing is when you hug me, when you come home. When I greet you at the door and you give me a hug, that makes me feel loved. Okay? Why does it matter, right? What? Why? Why does it matter to you? Well, why it matters to me because it makes me feel like you're happy to see me and I have a place in your life. Well, why does it matter to our relationship? Because when I feel loved and cared for and important to you, I am more peaceful, and that makes a peaceful environment for both of us. And I know you want peace too. So we will be more peaceful if you do this. Okay. How often do you need it? And how much do you need it, right? How much and how often? Well, I need it every day when you come home, and I would like a 15-second hug. Just a big, deep squeeze. Okay? Okay, I can do that. For 15 seconds, once a day, 7 days a week, I give you a hug when I come home. You will feel loved, you will feel more peaceful, and our environment will therefore also be more peaceful for both of us. Got it. I can do that. Now you have built an exact measurement system for targeted goals. I know that a lot of the people watching this show right now have had attachment issues for their entire life. That's why I want to invite every single one of you to check out my attachment repair program. It just might be the jump that you need to go from insecurely attached and lonely and frustrated to fully secure, connected, and bonded in a great relationship like nothing you've ever felt before. Check out my website, adamlanesmith.com, for the attachment repair program. When needs are measurable, partners stop guessing. Their nervous system goes down, their bonding and success rate goes up, their hormones go up, and they start winning together. Measurability is crucial. I need to feel loved does damage. This is what helps me feel loved. What, why, how often? That's the winning formula. But when needs are clear, fights can still happen, right? The question is, what happens after a fight? Skill number 3 is repairing after conflict, what I call reunification rituals. Okay? Every couple argues. The difference between those who have arguments and bad days and they thrive, and those who have arguments, bad days, and fall apart is whether they know how to repair. Most couples have an argument, whatever, and then they move on without repair and pretend everything's fine and let it go after a few days, tiptoeing on eggshells and then eventually dropping it. The fight doesn't go away, it gets swept under the rug, but the body keeps that memory, and you remember the stress, and you remember the cortisol association, and now you wonder if you're still connected or not. Every conflict becomes a deeper and deeper and deeper wedge between the two of you. Your nervous system needs not just to resolve issues, yes, but then to reunify afterward to restore safety. Fun fact, dogs repair very quickly afterward, and we've trained them and domesticated them in particular and bred them for that. Dogs don't need reunification rituals very much, but wolves do. And one major problem when someone gets a 3/4 wolf dog is that they don't reunify after disciplining. What this does is tell the wolf dog over and over and over, you are not a member of my pack. I got angry, I beat you up, I left, I don't care about you. If you don't reunify on purpose, you alienate that wolf dog, which is why a lot of them terribly end up getting put down. Because they get the message that you are a lone wolf and nobody in our pack likes you, and they go rogue. And they start claiming territory, taking out neighborhood pets, maybe even going after the family. This is a major problem, not just for wolf dogs, but for humans. We also need reunification rituals. Dogs have a very special genetic. You can do some research on this. They are unique in a certain kind of way, and maybe not the best kind of way, but we've domesticated them specifically so that they just keep coming back without the expectation of reunifying. They'll just keep trying, most of them. Humans don't. We need to know it's still okay. We fought, but are we okay? We had a disagreement. We fixed it. But are we okay? Is our relationship intact? Is it okay to fight once in a while? Or do you get angry at me? Do you keep a constant tally? Are you loading up a list of all the things I've done wrong? So even if we've resolved them, eventually it will explode in my face. Is it 3 strikes and I'm out? What do we have? We need to know that we're safe on that slate. Okay? Think of this at work. You're disciplined at work, you're scared, and you're just never not scared. Unless they then come in and say, you've done great, slate is wiped, we're proud of you, excellent work, we think you're incredible, everything's good. Don't be afraid anymore, right? Oh, reunification ritual. That's how it's supposed to be with good leadership. But without repair, the cortisol association, the fear cements your partner equals danger. One important reunification ritual after an argument is just to hug and say, hey, we are okay, right? Everything's good. Reestablish safety cues. Do a quick debrief. 1 sentence on what each of you learned and how you're going to go forward differently. Then maybe a physical reset, a shared activity like you go for a walk, you laugh, maybe you pray together, something like this, but signal safety together. Hey, verbally, we are good. Everything's good. We're squared. No one be afraid. Right? Now, what did we learn? Beautiful. Let's move forward. Now let's go for a walk. You should do this with your partner. You should do this with your kids. You should do this at work in leadership positions. You should do this all kinds of things. Maybe you don't hug your employees at work, but you let them know the relationship is intact. This is a secure behavior, and you have to learn this. So for couples, it's not about never fighting. It's about always repairing. That's how love survives through the storms. But building on every skill, repair alone isn't enough if trust is already broken. That's why skill 4 is about rebuilding trust in a way that therapy, unfortunately, almost never teaches. Skill number 4, building trust through small, consistent actions. Grand gestures don't rebuild trust. Boring consistency does. Therapy often pushes emotional breakthroughs, big conversations, big moments. But breakthroughs without constant, consistent follow-through makes things worse. Big apologies followed by more broken promises deepens the wound. I'll say it another way. A big promise kept once a year does not equal the trust you can build with a little promise built and kept every single day. 365 small promises mean a lot more than one big promise per year. Now, trust is built largely on the emotional right side of the brain based on experiences, especially over in the hippocampus, the memory, and especially if we have attachment issues, we need proof that trust is safe and consistent, okay? Oxytocin rises when promises are kept daily, not yearly. Vasopressin rises when we do things together and build trust and overcome fear and challenges. Serotonin goes up when we feel engaged and cared for and connected. Big breakthroughs might give you a binge and then a crash, but that doesn't build a safe, consistent nervous system. So solutions here. Okay, start with micro promises. I will text you at lunch. You'd be shocked how many men don't follow through on messages like this. I will text you at lunch. Guys, if you say that to a woman, she will never forget it. She's waiting. She's counting the microseconds. Lunch hits and she starts a timer. And then she stares at the timer, watching the seconds tick upward, getting more and more anxious and angry as you don't text, right? Ladies, drop me a comment. Let me know if that's true. But that's the problem. Little promises really matter. Daily follow through. One of the biggest complaints I hear in couples therapy that a woman shares is he doesn't follow through. He doesn't do what he says he will, especially women with kids. Women can tolerate this usually, but not if their kids are tolerating it because they see the pain. Okay. And it's not just men who don't keep promises, by the way. Men and women both. Everybody out there needs to be keeping promises. Start with micro promises and keep them. Track your daily follow through and make sure you, at the end of the day, are a person of your word. This is called integrity. It is one of my top 3 principles that I must follow through on, or it haunts me. The same should be true of you. You are only worth your word. Keep your word. No grand gestures are going to be needed or allowed until reliability is proven. In fact, if the trust is not there with small, consistent matters, big, grand gestures are treated as threats and manipulations. Now, trust, very clearly, is not restored in a weekend, but over 30 days of clear, tracked reliability, couples can feel safer than ever before. But trust can still collapse instantly if boundaries aren't in place. That's where skill number 5 comes in. Now let's pause for a moment. What I've shared with you so far isn't just theory. It's the result of years of working with couples who are doing all the right things, seeing a therapist, talking through their feelings, reading the books, but they were still stuck in the same frustrating patterns. Why? Because insight without skill is useless. In fact, it's worse than useless. It tortures you. Most people don't fail in their relationships because they don't care. Most people fail in their relationships because no one ever taught them how to succeed, how to build trust, how to communicate clearly, how to reconnect after conflict in real embodied ways. That's what my approach is all about. So if you're the kind of person who's tired of talking about your issues and you're ready to actually solve them, the next step might be attachment-specific coaching with me and my team. Now, it's not for everyone, but if you're craving traction and action and movement and relief and bonding, it might be exactly what you need. I've added info about our coaching program to work with me and my team down below in the video description. If it feels like the right next step, go check it out. But don't leave yet, because we still have 3 more skills to cover. And these next ones might be the one your relationship has been missing all along. Skill number 5 is using boundaries without shame or guilt. Look, boundaries are not walls. They are doors with handles on both sides. This is where you greet and talk and work together. Anxious partners, though, feel horribly guilty about setting boundaries. And your therapist will say, you've just got to do it. Avoidant partners weaponize boundaries to push away. Therapy often says, set boundaries, without teaching how to do it kindly or how to overcome your screaming nervous system that says, I will die if I set a boundary. Just do it. Secure boundaries, though, are safe zones for oxytocin building. Cortisol, the presence of it, shuts down your oxytocin receptors. So if you feel scared, you're either closed off from bonding or diminished in bonding. Not good. Healthy boundaries that you just know that you will be safe in here because nothing unsafe will happen. Cortisol gone, oxytocin receptors sprung open wide. Punishing boundaries, though, hurting someone with your boundaries, cortisol spikes. You have terrible oxytocin withdrawals, right? This is stonewalling. This is gaslighting. This is diminishing. This is dismissing. All of those hurtful behaviors that shove someone back instead of saying, hey, this is a normal, healthy boundary for me. I need this to be respected. Can we talk? So the solution here is collaborative boundary setting. Hey, here's what I'm going to need so that I can stay close to you. This is my ethic or principle. This is my long-term goal. I have to maintain those. Help me do that so that I can stay close. I want to stay close. I don't want to run away and I don't want a problem. Can we work together? And then what are your boundaries? What are your ethics and your goals? Let's respect those too. Can we agree that we will take care of ethics and goals together and find a peaceful way to love each other? Use and not but. Okay, I love you and I need 20 minutes after work to decompress so that I can love you in the best way, because I am a horrific grizzly bear when I come home from work. And if you ask me how my day was, I will growl and who knows, attack the refrigerator, right? Like, don't do that. I need 20 minutes to decompress. Then I will be my best self for you. Make sense? Boundaries. Now, the bonding hormone vasopressin is known as the monogamous bond because it makes you protective of your partner and more likely to protect the relationship. And this happens because when you solve stress together as a team, your brain tags them as an ally. It's the opposite of a cortisol association. You're my ally. When I'm hurting, you're there. You make it better. I don't ever want to hurt this relationship. I want to protect it. Monogamous bond through vasopressin, okay? You have to get it through stress. You can't get it any other way. Couples who solve problems together rewire the brain to see each other as allies. Now, people ask me all the time, Adam, how do I vasopressin bond? So much so that I have 7 guides here on this channel for doing it. But I'll be honest with you, you probably don't need to go out and hunt down ways to do it. Daily life is stressful enough. If you approach it like this way, every day as a couple, okay, daily, in the morning, what is our biggest stress today, each of us, and how can we face it together? Maybe not how can I attack it with you, but how can I support you so you have the best odds of success, right? You have to go kill that tiger, but I will hand you multiple spears as you're doing so, and I'll sharpen them for you. I'll hold the shield, you spear it, right? How can I enhance your chances of success? This is something that falls apart because a therapist will say, well, ask your boyfriend how you can help him. And you'll say, how can I help you? And he goes, you can't. And then he pulls away because he's avoidant. He tries to solve it alone. You feel useless and rejected. And now you guys drift. How can I support you during this? Weekly, what is our biggest stress as a couple this week? And how can we face it as a team? How can I enhance your odds of success? How can I support your chemicals during, right? How can I grow your productivity? Ask each other this question. Reframe your external stress as a shared mission. It's us versus the problem. A big beef I have with therapy is that they try to do this by having date nights. Oxytocin. No, sorry. Oxytocin receptors are closed or blocked, right? Or shut down because of the high cortisol association. Vasopressin fixes the cortisol association, builds monogamous desire, and then prompts oxytocin bonding for couples dates to then be most effective. Do it that way, not the other way around. Okay? Handled right, stress is not a threat. It's actually a glue that makes you unbreakable. But, one more time, bonding under stress only works if you share the same direction. That's where skill 7 comes in. And I know this is one that most therapists will never teach you. Skill number 7 is a shared vision with clear relationship roles. A relationship without a shared vision isn't peaceful. It's drifting. Therapy often treats couples like two independent democracies. No vision, no roles. That leads to confusion. Roles are bad, right? We are all loving, fluffy bunnies, and we must enjoy our relationship as individuals who happen to know. Doesn't work that way, okay? That leads to a lot of confusion, anxiety, constant renegotiation, fighting, arguments. Who knows what you're even doing? A shared vision triggers vasopressin milestones every time you hit one that you achieve together. It unifies you together. It gives you dopamine rewards for succeeding as a future orientation. It gives you clear, exact models for what you're supposed to be doing. Imagine a business running with no roles, no vision, no culture, no nothing. Everyone just kind of shows up. You got the VP of sales playing with Play-Doh at his desk because sales isn't a goal for anybody anymore. You've got the CEO just drinking at his desk because his goal is to feel better today. This doesn't work. Now, clear goals reduce conflict and increase security. Now, why don't we teach roles inside relationships anymore? Well, because we did some research, and this is fascinating. There was research done about 10 years ago, and they looked and found that if you take 12 therapists in America, 11 of them are extreme far left ideology, which is excessive radical feminism, which rejects any and all roles whatsoever. Often, it usually negates the idea that there's even a brain difference or even a hormone difference at all. So roles become evil. Most therapists are destroying any roles you might try to walk into. Any religious couples out there who've ever tried to go through couples therapy, you know what I'm talking about, right? You're steered away from roles, away from your faith, and probably toward divorce, even if you didn't want that. Clear roles, though, that are built not on value, but on specialization and each person's skill set, those roles reduce conflict and they increase safety, security, bonding, efficiency, success, happiness, and fulfillment for everybody involved when they're deployed correctly. In particular, this is why I've developed and I teach the CEO, COO model, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operations Officer. About 95% of the time with couples I encounter, the man falls fully into the CEO role and the woman falls very happily into the COO role, managing operations, managing the executive functions, okay? This is fine. This is great. For most couples, this is the pathway. The other 5%, they swap. The woman happens to be better in CEO areas and the man happens to be better in COO areas. Not because one or other is diminished or has attachment issues, but their brains simply function different. Beautiful. Allow for variation. Allow for skill set swapping, but build that out just like you're running a company. Both are respected. Both are executives. One leads with vision. One manages operations and functioning inside the relationship or in the family system. One detects problems, operations. One solves problems, executive. Creating this system crushes most stress. And it builds that feminine, masculine dynamic that most couples are looking for. Then once you have this, you can build a 5-year roadmap together to get long-term goals. What is the long-term vision of your family? Finances, family, values, success. Where are you going? Right? Not get through the next month. What is your long-term vision over the next 50 years? Then 20, then 10, then 5, then 1, then 6 months. Okay? 90 days, a month, a week. Let's lead forward with plans like a business. If it works in business, it can work for you. Now, this especially helps anxiously attached partners when roles are clarified because now they have targets to hit. Instead of guessing what they're supposed to do, they know and they can thrive in it because their skill set is built for it. And they can learn more skills to become even better. Avoidant people actually love this too because now they're not fighting for dominance anywhere. They're growing together and they can begin trusting and building. Most avoidant men are stunned when I tell them that the woman in their life shouldn't just be an assistant who fetches their coffee and looks pretty. She should be a full co-executive who works with him, makes decisions together with him, and solves problems with him. Most avoidant men have never even considered that possibility. but it's there. Now, couples with vision, they don't just survive every day. They thrive with direction, purpose, and peace. Now, once you have these 7 skills, you're no longer in reactive therapy mode endlessly, forever. You're in relationship mastery mode. And that brings us to the next step. Now, if you've tried therapy for months or years and you still feel stuck, you're not broken. You just weren't given the right skills. Communication isn't enough. Insight isn't enough. You need tools that work in real life, not just in an office somewhere. The skills I've shared here today, they're real, they're practical, and they've helped thousands of people rebuild trust, repair connection, and finally feel safe in love again. You can do this. Now, if you're wondering where to start, I'd love to keep coaching you directly in your inbox. I send out emails every week with personal stories, lessons, and insights that I don't share anywhere else. This isn't just another newsletter. It's where I share behind-the-scenes lessons, the heartwarming stories, and the practical steps you can start using right away. If you've ever wished you had me as your coach in your corner, this is the easiest way to start. No cost, no fluff, just real connection. Because you don't just deserve to understand your patterns. You deserve to outgrow your patterns. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. Thank you for sharing your time with me here today. If this was helpful, and I know it was, please like, comment, subscribe, ring the little bell for notifications, come back for live streams, and check out some more videos here on this channel. This is only the beginning of your learning.